I guess you're wondering why I have this gauze on my head and these band-aids on my face. Well, in a minute, I'm going to explain to you what it is. Chasing Me is an awareness for women to love themselves from the inside out. Before you can get the physical together, the mental must be intact also. Well, I know it's September, but October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. 38% of the women globally has been affected by domestic violence from their intimate partner. We normally see the outer scars that happens during domestic violence. You have broken arms, broken ribs, fractured skulls, all types of injuries, head injuries. But very seldom do we hear about the emotional abuse. Emotional abuse, to me, seems like it's just as bad as the physical abuse. I can speak on that because I was involved in an emotional abusive relationship. Well, I want to say a narcissistic abusive relationship. During that time, I guess I wasn't really whole myself, so a lot of things I accepted I shouldn't have. I didn't set the boundaries up high enough during that relationship, so I kind of subject myself to a lot of agony and degrading behaviors from someone that I love. Unfortunately, I lost a lot of myself during that time. A lot of tactics that was used was gaslighting. Gaslighting is a tool used by a narcissist that kind of play mind games. It kind of make you lose sense of reality and make you question your sense of rationality. It's really tough to really talk about it because, again, when you actually love somebody, you kind of make excuses for the behavior that you're getting from this individual. The only way we can stop that is to learn who we are and what we need and learn our value. Because if you know your value, nobody else can tell you anything different than what you know. We have a lot of broken people in the world today, and what they do is they project their deficiencies onto you. Sort of like emotional vampires. Somebody that sucks your energy out of you, and it's intentional. It's not like they don't know what they're doing, and I think that's the hard part, because when you love somebody, in your mind you're thinking he wouldn't do that or she wouldn't do that, but yeah, it can be done, and it's really not a good feeling. Some of the things that I was able to research, because I was really interested, because I had no idea what I was going through, and I had no idea that narcissism, I think it's called narcissistic personality disorder. I had no idea what that was. And it wasn't until I started feeling weird in this relationship that I wanted to know what was going on. But I was too afraid to talk to my family members about it because I didn't think that they would understand. And also I thought that they would probably think that I was just stupid for being there as long as I had. When you're going through certain situations, you can't focus on what everybody else say because you're stuck. I mean, you feel like you're stuck. Long-term effects from being in an emotionally abusive relationship could be anxiety, depression, loss of reality. You don't trust your own judgment anymore, which is really terrible. And you really don't understand it unless you're actually going through the situation yourself. Going through this whole turmoil, I realized this was toxic. It was really taking so much from me. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to exercise. I didn't want to go to work. I didn't want to hang out with my friends. And it's bad enough. This individual pretty much isolated me from my friends. But I took it as if he was really enjoying my company, like always hanging out with him and going everywhere with him. But he knew what he was doing, but I didn't. Everything he did to me was premeditated. Everything he did was calculated. You know, he was a manipulator. And sometimes you got to really listen to what somebody is telling you while you're dating. in the early stages because they're telling you from the beginning, but you just thinking it's just regular conversation, but really it's not. They're really telling you what type of person that they are. For instance, if a guy asks you within the first 2 months or 3 months of dating, would you be able to identify abuse if you saw it? At that time, I just thought it was a random question. I mean, but shortly after, I was like, no, it wasn't a random question, but I couldn't put two and two together. It turns out that he was an abuser, an emotional abuser. And I am not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not claiming to be one. I'm not diagnosing anybody. But when I did my research, and there was a whole host of criterias that kind of fit a narcissist, he had like 7 of the 9 or 7 of the 10. So I realized at that point that I'm in trouble. I need to get out. And I know there's other women out there like me who may have been stuck in a relationship like that and maybe didn't have a support system or didn't have, I guess, God, you know, because the only way I was able to get out of it because I prayed a lot and I got closer to him. And I just knew something just wasn't right. I cannot love somebody more than I love me. And I see what it got me. I could have been getting these bruises, but this is just for the camera. And you guys out there have no idea how it feels to be involved in an abusive relationship. And you think about it when you get older, like, no, it couldn't happen to me. And especially, I've always been in community relations for the last 25 years. And I dealt with domestic violence victims. I dealt with a lot of domestic disputes. I had no idea that I would actually be a victim of domestic violence. Ladies, it's really important. There's too much information out here. You can always go on the internet. You got YouTube. I mean, you have information at your fingertips. If something don't feel right, and you're not sure, you can always go on the internet and, you know, find out for yourself. You can go to a doctor, you can go to the police, but never hesitate to remove yourself from a toxic situation. And I tell you, you have narcissists are master manipulators. What they do is they study you. They become everything that you could possibly want in a man. And what happens is when you don't agree with them and they're not able to control you, the very same things that you confided in them with, they use some things to manipulate you, and eventually they're just going to throw you away like a piece of trash. But we have to stand our grounds, ladies. We have to learn how to have standards and requirements. That's what we need to have. And if someone don't match your standards and requirements, then you see that's a recipe for disaster. We cannot live in a house of horror. We have to love ourselves so we can live in a place of paradise. And the only way we can live in a place of paradise, we have to build it for ourselves. And the only way we can do that is by knowing who we are and have boundaries. And if somebody crossed those boundaries, and I guess I want to say the first time, then you know that person is not meant to be in your space. Sometimes you can tell the person the first time, and if they don't, you give them your stipulations, and if they cross it again, there's no doubt about it. You can't give people 3rd, 4th, and 5th chances, because then they're gonna start taking you as a joke, and they're gonna continue on doing what they're doing. So I just wanted to share my experiences in an abusive relationship, because we are approaching the domestic violence month, which is October. So I just want to get my story out there, and hopefully I can help somebody from losing their life. Maybe right now as I'm recording this video, someone is being abused. And emotional abuse is something that's not detected because you really can't see it. You can see this, but you can't see the emotional abuse. If you once knew a friend of yours that was just happy-go-lucky and life was just beautiful, and you know they were just really prosperous and just smiling from here and there, and all of a sudden it starts to change, then it's time to reach out to them, because they could be going through something. and maybe too embarrassed to say something, or maybe just in denial that they're actually in an abusive relationship. Because I tell you, narcissists are so crafty, they'll make you believe that it's you, because that's what they do. They want to keep you in a state of confusion. They want you to be able to deny that you have common sense, to know when you're in danger. So I just want to get it out there, because this is a serious issue. So when you start to love yourself, what happens is the scars start going away. You see? They'll still be here in your mind, but eventually you'll get to be the woman that God designed you to be. You will no longer tolerate foolishness from anybody. Nobody will be able to manipulate you into believing that their way is right. Because a lot of times we deal with men that have a bunch of childhood scars that they never had dealt with them. Not at all. And what happens is they project those childhood scars onto women. And anytime you have a man who admits to you that they broke you down to build you up, that's no man. He don't care about you. He don't care about himself. Because it takes a cowardly man to break down a woman to make themselves feel high. That's not good. So ladies, you just, reach out for help if any of you ladies are out there going through the same thing. Chasing Me is always here. You can reach out to us, and I will try to get you the resources that you need to take you to a safe place so you can grow to be the woman that God designed you to be. Have a good night, ladies, and I'll see you next video.